All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about something that is no joke, one of the most critical skills you can have in IT or cybersecurity. It's called network segmentation. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like building your own digital fortress.
So let me just start by asking you this. What if one tiny mistake, just one wrong click, could literally take down your entire network? Sounds pretty dramatic, right? But could it actually happen?
Well, on a network that has zero protection, what we call a flat network, the answer is a big, scary yes. A single breach can just rip through everything, spreading like wildfire.
So yeah, let's start right there with that nightmare scenario. One breach leading to total and utter chaos.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, first off, on a flat network, malware just goes instantly. There are no doors, no walls, nothing to stop it. That means one person's compromised PC can very, very quickly become the whole company's compromised network. You have zero control. And that leads to the absolute worst case scenario, ransomware. It gets in, and because it can go anywhere, it just tears across the network, locking up every single file it can find. And at that point, it's pretty much game over.
Okay, but it's not all doom and gloom. There is a really powerful way to fight back against this chaos. It's all about building some digital walls.
And that, right there, is the core idea of network segmentation. It's just the practice of taking that one huge vulnerable network and chopping it up into smaller, isolated pieces, or segments. Makes it way easier to manage and, more importantly, to defend.
And this picture here shows it perfectly. See, instead of one giant free-for-all, you create these controlled zones. You've got your guest Wi-Fi over here in its own little bubble, totally walled off from the internal company network or, say, the super sensitive network that handles credit card payments. Each one is its own little island.
So that's the what. Now, how do we actually do it? Let's take a look at the blueprint for segmentation.
Fundamentally, there are two ways to build these walls. The old school way is physical segmentation. I'm talking separate switches, separate routers, separate everything. It's super secure for sure, but man is it expensive and a total pain to change. That's why, these days, almost everyone uses logical segmentation. This is where we get clever with software and configurations on the hardware we already have to create those same exact zones. It's way more flexible, it's cost-effective, and it's incredibly powerful if you know what you're doing.
And when we talk about logical segmentation, the real star of the show, the main tool in the toolbox, is the VLAN. That stands for Virtual Local Area Network.
Now, here's the magic of VLANs, and this diagram shows it so well. You can take one single physical switch and using software basically slice it up so it acts like a bunch of separate switches. See how the sales laptop and the sales desktop are on the same virtual network? Even though they might be plugged into totally different physical boxes, that's the power of it. But here's a super important catch. Just creating the VLANs isn't enough. That's like building rooms with no doors. You still need a guard at the gate. And that's where your firewalls and your access control lists, your ACLs, come in. They are the rules that decide if, say, the sales VLAN is even allowed to talk to the HR VLAN.
And in the real world, this is exactly how it's done. You'd set up, say, VLAN 10 for the HR department. You might give them the 192.168.10 network. Then VLAN 20 for IT, they get the .20 network. And of course, VLAN 30 for your guests. Then you write the rules. You create an ACL that says the guest network can get to the internet. And that's it. It is absolutely forbidden from ever touching the HR or IT networks. See? You're not just building the walls, you're enforcing the rules at the gates. So why on earth would we go through all this trouble? Let's talk about the payoff, the amazing benefits of building out your digital fortress.
And let's just be absolutely clear about this. There are a bunch of benefits, but the number one, top of the list, most important reason to do this is security. Full stop. Because at the end of the day, it's all about this: stopping an attacker dead in their tracks. It's about throwing up roadblocks and dead ends so that one little problem doesn't spiral into a complete disaster.
Here's how it works. By building these walls, you make it incredibly difficult for an attacker to move sideways inside your network. We call this lateral movement. So if some malware gets onto a laptop on the guest network, well, it's stuck there. It's trapped. It has no path to jump over to the HR network or the finance servers. The breach is contained. And this whole idea of containment, it's so fundamental that it's a core pillar of modern security philosophies like zero trust.
And hey, beyond the huge security win, you get other great perks too. your network performance actually gets better because you're cutting down on all that unnecessary background chatter. You get fault isolation, meaning if something goes haywire in one segment, it doesn't bring the whole company down. And for a lot of businesses, like in finance or healthcare, this isn't even a choice. It's a strict requirement for compliance.
Okay, let's pull all this together. What this is really about is taking back control. It's your network, so you get to make the rules.
And if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this mantra. The entire philosophy boils down to this. You control who can talk to what, and how. You're the architect. You're the one setting the rules of engagement. This is the big transformation. You're going from a network that's just wide open and vulnerable by default to one that is controlled, contained, and secure by its very design.
And here's the cool part. You're probably already doing this without even thinking about it. If you're building labs in VirtualBox, guess what? Every time you put different lab machines on different subnets, or separate your VMs into different virtual networks, you're doing segmentation. When you set up access controls in Active Directory, you're building those digital walls. You're already practicing the fundamentals.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. As you continue your work, as you build out your own labs, just ask yourself this question. Is my network an open highway where anyone can go anywhere they want? Or is it a secure fortress with walls, with gates, and with guards? Because that choice, it makes all the difference in the world.